The 3 best niches for Amazon KDP this 2024. If you're a beginner or you're just starting out and you're looking for a niche on Amazon where you can create a book, not take too long to make it, and perhaps even get an asymmetrical return on it, then you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 trending topics for books that you can create and start making royalties with them right away. The first one is Factbooks. The majority of people usually do very general Factbooks, such as the one that we have on screen here. Awesome facts that will make you look super smart. Now, this book here is not a bad idea. As you can see, in the last 30 days, it's made over 170 sales, 171. It's probably bringing in a $4 royalty per sale, so it's not bad. That's over $500 a month in royalties. But it could be doing much better if it was a bit more niche down. Let me give you 2 examples. Here we have a Hockey Facts for Kids book. And this one is amazing. It's one of the best case studies that I found in the topic of fact books. As you can see, this book was independently published. So it wasn't, in other words, it was made by somebody like you and me, just a regular person. But despite that, it has a BSR of 2,344, pulling in around 1,300 sales in the last 30 days. To give you an idea, this book is probably making around $4,000 to $5,000 a month in royalties. Now, if you factor in the ad spend, that's usually about 30 or 40%, this book is still pulling in over $2,600 every single month. And from the looks of it, it's not gonna stop anytime soon. It's selling more and more as time goes on. You see in this graph on screen, the closer you get to 0 or the closer you get to number 1 on Amazon, the more your book is selling. And we can see how the ranking keeps going down and down through time. And you know what's very interesting? This book has only 49 ratings. Anyone could come into the market today, really focus on making a book like this work, and get 50 reviews in a matter of a month or 2 months, or maybe even 3 months. So it's not really too hard to compete with a book like this and start making that money for yourself. The next book that we have here as an example is Ultimate Greek Mythology, adventurous stories, fun facts, amazing history, and beyond. And again, the book has competitive pricing and it sells about 780 units every 30 days or so. Now, my only suggestion with books like this is that you try to avoid possibly trademarked keywords or famous people. You see, lastly, I've seen a lot of books like this one here, which is about Lionel Messi, essential trivia stories and questions for superfans. I would try to avoid books like this. They might get your account flagged or banned. Like it or not, Lionel Messi, his name alone brings in millions of dollars for many companies. So this book is kind of taking advantage of that. I wouldn't do this. It's very risky and you might make some money in the short term, but in a matter of days, this person's account could get banned and they could have all of these royalties withheld. Now, some of the reasons why I enjoy these fact books is because right now they're very popular, they're very easy to make. You can start making them today using ChatGPT, even without being a GPT expert. And if you decide to outsource it because you can't be bothered to do the work yourself, well, the price for outsourcing this would still be very low. It would probably cost you around $200 or $300 to make a book like this if you hired a writer online, a freelancer to do it for you. Now, let me give you an extra tip. And it's actually not so secret, and it's that you invest in images, maybe stock images or maybe AI generated images, because I think many of your buyers will find it really crucial that a book like this has images. All right, let's go with niche number 2. And niche number 2 is coloring books. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, but Gerald, that niche is too saturated. How am I going to get into coloring books? Everyone does coloring books, right? Well, let me tell you that yes, but no. If you're a bit concerned about making a book that is truly high quality, and perhaps you don't feel ready or too comfortable making more complex books, then I think coloring books is a great starting point. Because even without being an expert, you can create a really good minimum viable product. However, you will have to spend a little bit more time than normal gathering reviews. But if you're willing to make that trade-off, then I think coloring books is a great idea. Now, if you've tried coloring books and your books haven't sold, then there's probably one of 2 reasons why that is happening. Number 1 is you don't have enough reviews. This is the usual cause of all of your problems. Coloring books need a lot more reviews to sell. Perhaps you should get at least 20 or even 50 before running ads. Since there's a bit more competition, you will need some reviews to get started. And the second reason why your coloring books may not be selling is because you simply didn't do a good keyword research prior. Anyways, if you're interested about learning more about reviews or doing a better keyword research, then comment below and I will make a few videos on that specifically. So let's go back to the screen. I want to show you a few books that are selling really well right now, even with very low reviews. Starting off with Abstract Coloring Book. This is a really new book that's been taken off. I've started seeing the ads for it maybe 2 weeks ago, and I think it's picking up quite nicely. In the last 30 days, it's sold 456 units. The royalties on a book like this is around $3.30. So if we do a quick math, we're talking about $1,500 in royalties in the last 30 days. And say that maybe 40% of that went into ads, then we're talking about $902 royalties after ad spend, which is not bad at all. With only 34 reviews, this book is pulling in almost $1,000 a month after ads, and that is something that I would definitely look into if I was just starting out in publishing and wanted to make a book work for me. Here's another example. It's called Minimalist Mindfulness. It's priced at $7.99 and it's sold 275 units in the last 30 days. With this lower price point, you won't be making as much, maybe a $2 royalty per sale, times 275, that's a little bit over $500 a month, $550 to be exact. And let's say that around 40% of that goes into ads, then that means we're staying with about $330 after ads profit per month. Which again is not that bad considering we only have to get to 25 reviews or around there to have this kind of sales. That's not a bad idea. I mean, you can get 25 reviews in a matter of a few weeks or maybe up to a month if you take this seriously. And one last example for the coloring book niche is this one here called Living in the 90s. The keyword for this is probably 90s coloring book or something along those lines. And it's definitely a book I would look into. It has a 4.1 average rating, which is really bad, only 7 ratings in total. And despite that, it's selling about 155 units per month with around a $3.50 royalty perhaps. So let's look at that, 350 times 155, that's around $540 per month. After ads, it might be around $320 a month, which again is not bad. You can easily beat this book with just slightly better quality and obviously more positive ratings. Now, the reason I like coloring books is because they're easy to make and you can create a minimum viable product that can get you a 4.4 average rating or above very easily. You don't have to do a very heavy research into it, and the people that buy them will be satisfied as long as your book delivers on the promise or delivers on the topic that it covers. And in case you're starting out and you don't have that much cash, you can download Midjourney and get some coloring pages like this made with just a few prompts. It's very simple. Now, pricing for outsourcing is very cheap if you decide not to get them made on your own. A coloring book in total might set you back around $100 to $200, which I think is very reasonable. And if I had to include an extra final tip for those of you going into coloring books, is that you spend a good amount of time gathering reviews. The time you would have spent maybe creating, researching, developing a very high-end product for another niche, well, you're kind of trading that off for time spent gathering reviews. So make sure to focus on that correctly. Now, niche number 3, short stories for kids. Again, this is probably a niche some of you might have heard of, but I promise you not many people are taking advantage of it. And let me give you a few examples of that. So the first thing I like to do is validate these kind of books on Amazon, but I validate them by using the Audible store, and I try to look at the rankings that they have on their Audible. This will give me a really good idea of how many units these audiobooks are selling. Now, if I click here, I have an extension called KD Spy that allows me to have an idea of how many units sold each one of these books have. Now here, I have an extension called KD Spy that gives me an average of units sold per book. So as you can see here, we have a column here of estimated monthly sales, and I base off my keyword research on this column. And I can see that on average, a short stories book in audio format is selling around maybe from 12 to over 100 units a month. And if we do a really good work creating one, I'm pretty sure we can hit 25 units sold per month very easily. So I'm going to use that as a reference, 25 units sold per month. Now, if my audiobook for short stories is around 3 hours long, that means I will be making around a $4 royalty to maybe $5 royalty per book sold. That's about $100 a month. In other words, that's about $100 a month that I would be making off an audiobook about short stories for kids, which again is not a bad income. It's passive income, and you can expect to receive it not only for 1 month, but for several months and even several years. Now, the great thing about these stories is that you can make them on ChatGPT. They don't have to be too complex because at the end of the day, it's for kids, and most parents will use these stories as bedtime stories. So as long as you don't touch any sensitive topics, you'll be fine. Also, because we're going to be focusing on the audio format, you don't have to invest heavily in illustrations or a beautiful interior, which is the case for books that are ranked and optimized for sale on Kindle and on paperback. So here's the strategy I would propose for you. If you're just starting out, I would recommend that you create your own short stories for kids book. You can do this with the help of ChatGPT, and there's no problem with that. Amazon KDP allows AI created content into its platform. So you would publish your book on Amazon, claim it on acx.com, which is Amazon's platform for audiobook creation, and have it developed on ACX. Because in this example, we're a bit low on budget, perhaps you would be good hiring a narrator for about $60 to $80 per finished hour. Overall, that audiobook should cost you around $240 to be published, or maybe a bit less. And with that audiobook published, you could expect to be making at least around $100 a month with it, which is not bad. And you can take some of that income and then pile it up a little bit and reinvest into images if you really want to make your book shine, also on the Kindle and paperback side. There's this book that I've been following since last Christmas. It's this one, Christmas Stories for Kids aged 8 to 12. This book was published strategically over a year and some months ago in 2022. And if you look down on the BSR and you look at the historical BSR of this book, you can see that last Christmas 2023, this book was selling crazy well. It was in the top 5,000 best-selling books of all of Amazon. As you can see, it even reached the top 2,000. And that's not the first time it does that. Christmas 2022, it had a similar experience. And if you look at the interior of the book, or you can even purchase it yourself, it's not anything crazy. It's just a few images here and there and text. So what I propose to you is that you focus on publishing the audiobook version as fast as possible. Since there's less competition, you can expect to make $100 there every month. And then focus on your Kindle and paperback, getting reviews for your book on Kindle and paperback, and start making some money from those two formats as well. You can even reinvest some of your audiobook income back into the manuscript of the Kindle and paperback versions so that you have beautiful images inside for each one of your stories. I hope you liked this video. And if you're a beginner just starting out, don't be disheartened by the competition or by the naysayers of the business. I've been doing this for several years, and I see a special opportunity now that AI has been handed to us. And if you would like to learn more about Amazon KDP and would like to know the top 3 secrets to a very passive income producing book, then make sure to check out the link below in the description. See you on the next video.